Alright, so what we do know is that Blue Lock exists to unlock the egos from the players, and eventually finding the best egos as well that can carry Japan to a World Cup victory. And in Ego Jinpachi's eyes, Isagi is the perfect player for Blue Lock. He's a player with hypersenses, a very good game sense, but unfortunately he had his ego completely locked by the Japanese mindset from his middle school days and high school, of course. And we do have seen his senses in game and also sees his ego unlocked, like when the thing with smell and go is a sense thing, and meta vision is also a sort of from that sense unlocked from his senses. But you also have seen, of course, that his ego was unlocked, and we have seen, and it's given him a tremendous boost in his career as a football player. But what is it really about him unlocking his ego that makes him that strong? Why is his ego that special? And that's kind of what the video is all about. I want to explain it. I want to attack that subject from a different angle. I think it makes sense, and I think that's the direction the author wanted from the beginning. You will probably understand it a bit more when you watch the full video, so enjoy. So the angle that we will attack is that it's not really about how and why his ego is getting triggered, because it is all because of Blue Lock, nothing more really. It's really the environment that has made him strong in this case. But as someone seen as the weakest player, from them being recognized as one of the best players, there has to be something special. There just has to be. I mean, Isagi devours everyone, and everyone wants to devour him, or at least he devours the people that gives him a challenge. And he does like change almost every game and evolves almost every game. And I think that is the special part. But the reason it is because of his kindness and his empathy in special. It's his kindness and also, of course, being in a harsh environment that forces him to put his kindness aside sometimes, and just being forced to focus on a single objective. I mean, Isagi always has been kind. That's why, to even begin with, he was locked in the Japanese mindset. I think he was just kind, and it's said in the light novel spin-off about his backstory that he didn't really like the one for all for one, that mindset, but he was kind of forced into it because he was seen as weird and a bit of a outcast because he didn't feel like that was the way, but everyone else thought that. So he just adapted to that mindset instead of really putting his ego out there. And also, when in Blue Lock, we can also see his kindness pour through. Like the first time delving into ego, even the first time he actually unlocked it, he actually passes. When he unlocks his ego, he passes for the first time. And that is because he is kind, I would say. He's kind enough to give everyone respect, enough to understand their abilities. And then also a bit later we also talked to Chigiri when he was down and even tried to help him. And Isagi's kindness is one of the things that never really changed with his character. He does change on the field, he gets mad a bit sometimes, he gets a bit cocky, he's a bit more confident in his play style. But his kindness never really changed. It's from the start until the latest chapter. Isagi is always a kind guy. So in philosophical terms, Yes, Isagi is universally kind, and he also believes in moral relativism, which relies on a lot of empathy. And this was confirmed in chapter 197, where he is able to see all other protagonist stories from the players, which would be really hard to do without empathy. At least in that sense, he does it. And the author, from what I do know and seen before, he likes playing around with philosophy, and that is a big reason why he can make that many important characters. And if you didn't know since before, he is a big death game manga maker. He has made one really big one, but the death game mangas are also relied on philosophy a lot as well, for making the characters and also to drive the story with. And just a side note, I really do recommend reading his old mangas if you did enjoy Blue Lock. You have King's Game, it's called. You have part 1 and part 2. I would at least recommend reading part 1. It's a monthly one, it's like 14 chapters, it's pretty long chapters as well. It's really good, and just read part 2 if you like that one. But you will see some similarities between that one and Blue Lock, especially when it comes to the goalkeeper Gagamaru. You will see it. So I do definitely think that the kindness that Isagi has is the key to actually understanding his growth and his ego, and also why Jinpachi ego has a huge interest in him. It's his kindness that lets him change himself, and that is his number one strength, that he can easily just look at someone, devour them, understand them, and then change himself because of that. And also it's also his kindness that lets him have that special meta vision. We haven't really seen it in action yet, I think, not to the fullest capacity, but it does take a certain kindness to actually understand other people's goals and dreams. But also during the Manshine game, Ego Jinpachi eagerly wavered on how these clashes of fantasies, their stories created from their egos would develop. And I think Isagi's view on it made Jinpachi pleased, or it was the right one, you can say. Like, he was kind enough to understand others' fantasies, their stories, but also having the ego to actually accept that his fantasy is the better one. And just to give more context to it, as to how empathy, kindness, is that strong, it's like he can literally see the future because he has an understanding of other people's intentions. So I really do think this with kindness and everything has a really big role in how his character was made, and also how it will develop towards the end. And it is the foundation for everything Isagi has achieved, I do think. And also, just to give some insight in how it actually affects the story and stuff, I will drop some predictions based on this. This will be a bit bananas probably, but it does make some sense. Okay, so first off, it's a pretty easy one. I think Ego Jinpachi was just like Isagi, a kind little child, and when put in a harsh environment, he's changed. I do think Ego Jinpachi went through the same, just without Blue Lock, of course. And the backstory behind it all will probably be shown when Isagi's kindness starts being a driven variable in the story. And the second one, pretty easy as well. It's pretty, I think everyone thinks this, but Noah will be the last striker for Isagi to face. I don't know in what sense, in what game or whatever, but I think he will be the last one. for many different reasons, but the number one reason I would say is that Noel Noah is exactly like Isagi. It's just that instead of emotions, kindness, empathy and stuff, Noel Noah is driven by logic, and it will be a fight between logic and emotions. Probably other egos from Blue Lock will be in that game, but Isagi will be the last one to laugh, I think. And it will be because of his kindness. It will be highlighted a lot in this match, I think. And this one, it has been shown and highlighted a bit in the story, but you have Hiri and Nanase will have a bigger part in the story. Hiri already have in the latest chapter, but they are the only other two in Blue Lock that is also kind and is strong enough to actually join the Nell League. There is difference in kindness, and I think that will be highlighted a lot around these two compared to Isagi. And I also don't think it is a coincidence why these three made the same team in that round. I do think these two will have a bigger impact on the story, and it will be based on their kindness and their skills, of course. So basically that's my predictions. It's not that crazy, right? But it does make sense. But all these predictions are based on me actually thinking that Isagi's kindness have a very big driven point in the story, and how the author wanted to make the story. And there also, in the end, there will definitely be a reveal that ego is just ego, and that is like the first step, comprehend your ego and let it loose. But in the end, the ideology of the person will be the next important part. So it doesn't do that much, this info, but it is interesting, and it does give a different view on how to actually read the manga. It will give you some insight on how some characters are made and how their stories will end up, and what part of the story they are meant to be in. The manga will definitely end on a battle of ideologies, I think, philosophies, different philosophies and stuff. And that's basically it. All I can say is Isagi is the man, a kind man.